said to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Oh, look, there I am, right down the bottom end of the corner again, trying to make myself a little bit bigger. How are you, folks? Hope you're having yourself a bloody good day. If you've got a pocket full of silver, you're having a bloody good day. What can I tell you? The price of silver has jumped yet again, and right now, as we're doing this, the price is sitting at $92, just about even, just 92.01. Gold, on the other hand, is sitting pretty straight and where it has been for the last few days, around 6,335.94. Not a lot of movement there. AinslieBullion.com.au. You can buy it all online. They deliver it to your door. You don't have to go in and stand in lines or queues or anything like that. And the big question that I have been asked over the last 24 to 48 hours is, oh, yeah, Carl, we remember you talking about gold and silver, and we remember you talking about self-managed super funds and all that, but look at it. We've missed the boat. Well, don't take it from me. I thought I'd better get a professional in to talk about it. So will you please welcome Cass Smith, direct from her office, where she has been chained to her desk for the last, I don't know how many weeks, slaving over a hot computer. Cass, thanks for squeezing us in on very short notice. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's okay. And it has been hot because I didn't have air conditioning in my office up until last week. I'm a bit cooler today, but I was really sweating over my computer for the weeks before that. There's so much happening out there that I've just been frantically busy. So much for someone who's technically meant to be well prepared, because
Well, this isn't something that's been following what's been going on in the markets now for a couple of years. We never said when an explosion like this could happen in the precious metals markets, but we knew that it was coming. Now, the big question I've got, as I said in the opening, is that many people are saying, oh, well, we've missed it now. You know, we've missed that big bubble. It's now creating new highs and all that. So, Cass, have people missed the boat? Can they still get into silver and gold and other precious metals and still expect to get a return?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, I'm not, as you said, despite all my degrees and diplomas, I'm not actually, well, no one is an expert in gold and silver. No one's actually licensed to advise in gold and silver. This is something I've been talking about. I talked about on my lunchtime podcast, that some people believe gold and silver is this alternative investment that, you know, only the crazies get into, or maybe you only put a little bit of your portfolio into gold and silver. And I've been reflecting on the reason why. And I believe it's because, well, if you just look at investment choices out there, you've got real estate, you've got shares, managed funds, bonds, derivatives, complicated things. Well, real estate advisors get a commission to advise on property. Financial planners get a commission to advise on shares and bonds and all those other technical things. Who gets a commission to advise on gold and silver? Nobody.
No, nobody.
So therefore, who's going to be bothered talking about gold and silver if you can't get paid for doing so? And so that's why it's not, I guess, out there in everybody's faces as you should invest in this, because there's no one out there licensed to tell people to invest in this or recommend it. So therefore, it just gets left aside. But we've shown charts in our newsletters, and Ainslie Bullion have the chart that we use to show that gold and silver has outperformed the Australian share market and the Australian property market for over 25 years. Outperformed.
And super funds invest in both those sort of markets, don't they?
Exactly. So absolutely, gold and silver would have slaughtered the return on average super funds. So it isn't a strange alternative investment. It's actually a fundamental investment that people just don't hear about because there's no one getting commission to suggest it. So as you know, Carl, I don't get paid for recommending gold and silver. I never have. I simply recommend it because I believe in it so much. So yeah, back to the back to your question, gold and silver have done absolutely fantastic, and I'm so happy that, you know, it's 3 years I've been saying this, and a lot of people have listened to me and made some seriously good money, which makes my day when I hear some of the stories with my clients ringing in to, you know, say they earned a $300,000 super portfolio, which isn't really that much to retire on. It's now 600,000. I had a client who was just about to sign on the dotted line for an American advisor to put $1 million payout she got from compensation into a share fund and charge her $15,000 a year to manage it, and cost her $15,000 to set it all up. And she had a $200 call with me, $220. And I said, no way, don't do that. I can't recommend what you should do, but I think possibly, firstly, bring it back to Australia in your control. Don't give it to a US advisor. It's not even in this country. And consider gold and silver. She took that advice and put $1 million into gold and silver, a year ago.
Oh, wow.
For a 200.
Well, yeah, double the money in gold, easy.
Yep. And it all cost was $220. So, but yeah, back to your question, is it too late? Absolutely not. I've been saying to anyone that listens to me, when is a good time to buy gold and silver? It is whenever you have spare money in your bank account. When I have money in my bank account, I don't want it there because we all know what may happen to money in the bank account. Anytime I've got money, I don't even check the price. I don't sit there and think, oh, well, you know, it's been up the last 2 days. Maybe I should wait 2 days. Oh, it's down. Maybe I should buy more. I just buy it on the day that I've got spare money. So I'm not an expert in it. Ainslie Bullion are, and I follow the likes of Jim Rickards in the US and Robert Kiyosaki, and there's a whole lot of other people. If you watch some of their videos, then you'll have other people popping up in your feed. But everyone is saying the same consistent thing, that this uprise in the gold and silver is just the beginning. So there's more research on gold and silver, and Jim Rickards himself, and we put it out in our newsletter this week and I think on our socials, that Jim Rickards came and gave a mathematical formula for what happened in the past and what's happening now. And based on that mathematical formula, the estimate is gold to 100,000 an ounce. Wow. He then says, don't quote me on it, but of course everyone's quoting on it because he said it. But 100,000 an ounce. And then when it comes to silver, as I said, there's not as much research on silver, but the gold and silver ratio, they tend to follow each other in a very similar line. So if that's happening to gold, that's going to happen to silver by the same mathematical equation. And then silver has even more fundamentals at the moment that are driving it.
Well, we've been following the gold and silver ratio here on Voice of Freedom basically for the last 3 years. It's at the lowest I've ever seen it. It's 68.86 right now. I've never seen it under 70 until the last couple of days. And that was the big telling factor that Paul from Ainslie Bullion was always speaking about. He said, don't really look at the price. Oh, Cass seems to have dropped out. Hopefully she'll come back. Don't really look at the price that you're paying at the moment. Look at the gold-silver ratio. And that is where you will get your best returns from, because at the moment, 68.86 ounces of silver is what it's going to take you to get 1 ounce of gold. And Cass is back, so I'm just explaining how the gold-silver ratio works. So people keep an eye on that, and you can literally watch your investment go up every 15 seconds or so, or at least it seems like that in the last little bit. You've mentioned that a couple of your clients, Cass, have had, I imagine every one of your clients who's taken advice in the last 2 or 3 years has made a significant windfall in this last 6 months or even this whole year with their SMSF or their personal investment in precious metals. Now, when we hear big numbers like $100,000 an ounce or silver going to $10,000 an ounce, we're all immediately going to rush off to Ainslie Bullion and try and sell a bit of our silver to recoup, a bit of, let's call it play money or money to do something, whatever else it will be. Now, is that something you would recommend, or is this something that you should be viewing as a much longer term thing for your entire family, an investment for the family still at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long-term investment. But having said that, by all means, you cash in your gold and silver. Once again, I don't do it depending on the price. I cash in my gold and silver when I need the money because I need to buy something or spend something or do something.
Yeah.
I don't wait and go, oh, I should sell it today, I should sell it tomorrow, I should wait till next week, because we just don't know. It does go up and down. So I sell it when I need to sell it, and that's but for cashing it, people have asked me, should I cash it in now because it's higher? I've asked them the question, what are you going to do with it? If they need it for something, obviously, do it. But then people said, oh, I just might put it in the bank for a while. I'm like, what?
Yeah. But what about if you wanted to go on a holiday?
Yeah, by all means. I mean, we've all got to live a good life at the moment because, we don't know what's coming. So you don't go sacrificing your entire life to squirrel it away. Have some fun and enjoy some of your life.
Because the treasonous bastards that are in control of the country demand that we pay taxes, can you explain how, or if even capital gains taxes will apply for anybody who's maybe got, a few kilos of silver under the bed or stuck in a tree out the back somewhere?
Sure, I'll come back to that. But just before, we were talking about the gold to silver ratio. So I did a quick chat GPT. The lowest widely recognized gold to silver ratio was 15-1. So that's the lowest. Wow. Whereas, as we were just talking about, at the moment, it is, was it 70-1?
68. Yeah, 68.86. I might have just jumped up again.
Yeah, if you think, go back to 15-1, imagine how much silver would have to go up to get back to that ratio.
Yeah.
So even if it just goes up to 50-1 or down to 51, it depends which way you're looking at it, that in itself is a huge price increase in itself. But anyway, so your question about capital gains, yes. So technically, the rules are that when you sell gold and silver, you are meant to put the gain into your tax return in the financial year that you sell it. So the gain would be whatever you sold at, less the cost price that you bought it at. That's the gain. If you've held it for more than 12 months, only 50% of that's taxable. Capital gains is a reasonable tax, if there's any such thing. But capital gains is a preferable tax to income tax. Because of that 50% exemption, you're only getting taxed on 50% of the profit. So that's pretty good. And as I said, you are meant to put that in your tax return, and I'll leave that as I say.
I was offered the other day the opportunity to buy an ounce of gold, which I loved. I thought it was wonderful of the gentleman to offer it to me, and I was very surprised that he thought I'd be able to afford it, because I couldn't. But he was happy to give it to me at pretty much better than spot rate. Had I have had $6,000, I could have bought that from him on the quiet, just, out his back door, so to speak. Is there anything that stops people from doing that, or is that a tremendously illegal thing to be doing?
No, it's not illegal, and that's why the major benefit of gold and silver is that it's untraceable. For all of us that don't want to be on the government record for every single little thing that we do, gold and silver is the future of what we should be moving towards. And I know there are towns in Australia, we know of Byron Bay, but there's also a few small ones in Victoria where they're already using silver coins for transacting, for coffee and dinners, and that at this point in time is all off the government record, and they've got no way of putting it on the government record when it's just physical exchange from one person to another. Yeah,
exactly. So that $5,000 limit that is a reportable limit. You can buy more if you want, but that gets reported and noted down somewhere by anybody a bullion dealer that you will buy from. It's part of their responsibilities. But anything underneath that you can trade. But as somebody pointed out the other day, well, you can't buy an ounce of gold now for less than $5,000. So every ounce is going to be reported. Does that just mean you buy 2 half ounces instead?
Yeah, absolutely. Just buy a small quantity. And this is something I like clarifying as well. When we say it's reported, It's not reported to anyone. All it is that Ainslie have to take your ID, and it will go on Ainslie Bullion's records that, yes, you bought that amount. So let's say you buy $100,000. It goes on their little ledger in their back computer system that says so-and-so bought $100,000 worth on this day. It's not reported anywhere.
Yeah, it's just held in their system, and as they've explained, it would require a court order for them to open their system to any government agency that wanted to have a look at it, and they would fight that. They employ the best lawyers in town.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that they are, transactions like banks and agencies, anything like that, have to report anything that is suspicious. So, it's better to go in and just buy $100,000 worth and it's all on the record, rather than acting really shady and going in every single day with $4,999 and going in there 20 days in a row. That's suspicious, and Ainslie would actually be required to report that because that's suspicious. You're obviously trying to stay off the record. So, so it's on their record. The tax department take quite a while to catch up on things. They're a bit slow. And so when crypto started becoming a thing, when maybe that was 15 years ago, it took the tax department like a good 5 years before they even sort of thought about it and went, we should do something about this. And now they require all crypto exchanges to report. So if you sell crypto, it is reported. If you sell shares, it's reported. If you sell property, it's reported. And it is all on your ATO portal record. But at this stage, gold and silver is not. If the level of people like us continuing to buy gold and silver continues to escalate the way it has been, I can see in time, years, 5 years, maybe 2 years, I don't know, the tax office might say, we really need to look into this. They then might pass legislation that requires the gold dealers to report, and then they would have to report just like the crypto dealers and the share dealers. They may even backdate that and get some historic records of what people have bought and sold. But once again, they won't have the not the expertise, but the manpower. They won't have the staff and the resources to go after everybody.
No, but they will have AI to help them. So
they will. So just be aware of that one day the tax office.
They've got to turn up at your door and say, right, well, where's all this silver and gold that you own? And say, well, I don't know, I've got dementia, I've forgotten.
It's more that if you sell it through the gold dealer, then there'll be a record that you've sold. They then may put that onto your tax record. Because that's what they do with property, for example, or even crypto. It just comes up on your tax portal to say, we know that you have sold $10,000 worth of crypto. Please make sure you return your gain. So we focus more on people selling it, not buying it. And I don't know if they'll backdate it. I don't know how far they'll go, or whether they'll just do what they did with crypto is didn't backdate their investigations. They just went from this date, we want all the recording, and then people had to start returning their gains.
Okay. The reason I sort of set this interview up, and thanks again for taking it on at late notice, was that I saw this headline: retirement disaster, single renter needs $659,000 in super, compared with $322,000 for a single homeowner. They are frightening figures, particularly for somebody like me who's got less than 30 grand in super. So clearly, I'm not going to be playing in this game, but those numbers are pretty frightening. They continue. Household incomes are now saying that the number of older people, retired people, has doubled in the rental sphere since 2003. And that's only going to get more and more as we go importing from other countries at the rate that we are currently doing it. People like me who, and, there are plenty of them. You've mentioned it yourself that, there are a lot of us who wanted to band together and get these self-managed super funds together, and some were able to come together in groups and do it, and some others weren't. It was all a bit dependent on how much money you could all band together make happen. These people have all, obviously benefited from being able to do that when we started giving that advice out a few years ago. What about somebody like me, and let's say it might be just somebody at Christmas who picks up a windfall of $5,000 or $10,000 in a scratchy or lotto or at the pokies or something like that? What advice do you have for somebody who gets, not an insignificant sum, but not a huge sum, leading into 2026?
In relation to gold and silver or SMSF?
Gold and silver, because I don't think there'll be an SMSF say there are some of these people who are now coming due for it, so they'll be able to access their super. I notice at the moment there is a huge amount of advertising on Facebook and all that kind of thing for different ways you can access your super, whether it be for getting your teeth fixed or to go on a holiday or to do this or to do that. There are so many different opportunities for people's super to be taken away from them before they've got their hand on them, on their hand on it. And that's for people who aren't at retiring age yet. But for those who are over the next 12 months going to hit retiring age, and we see gold and silver doing what it's doing, should they just be plowing it all into that?
Yeah, I think so. And as I said, I can't give advice, but my personal opinion. So a lot of people think that once they turn 60 and you can start taking super out once you're 60, that they should just rip it all out of super. That's not correct, because superannuation is still the best taxed environment. So tax on superannuation before age 60 is only 15%, whereas in your own name you can be up for 20, 30, 45%. After age 60, the tax on any incomes and gains can be 0%. So if people have money in super, they're better off leaving it there, but getting it into self-managed super funds and getting it into gold and silver, in my opinion, not advice. Then you've got your category, Carl, that I think you started talking about, those that don't have enough to put into self-managed. So yourself, for example, 30,000 stuck in super. In my opinion, if once you hit you can get it out. So once you're 60 and retired, if you can't get it in SMSF, possibly just get it out, because as we've seen on that, the collapse, the Guardian super collapse, and other collapses that are happening, I don't believe your money's safe. And also, it's superannuation, the big funds, it's all in the share market, and my personal belief is that we're heading for a massive crash in the share market, so you'll lose it anyway. So
yeah, that's exactly my thoughts. So if you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're going to be able to access and pay off your mortgage or do whatever you could do with it, and you really only have enough to take yourself on a wasteful round the world holiday, it's probably better that you turn it into a precious metal investment and look to that over the next 10 to 20 years, given the growth that we've seen just in the last couple of weeks and what we've spoken about going forward. Some of those projections going forward make people obviously very, very happy. You want to do it the right way and make sure you're protected. And of course, Freedom Financial Solutions are all about helping you protect and build on your wealth. So you've said you've been tied back to the chair, and for a retired lady, you're working your ass off. So what are you finding your main questions are at the moment? What are people really trying to find more information about?
Well, I think we spoke maybe a month ago, and after I'd come back from Fiji, and I was hammering on about inheritance tax, death tax.
Sure, yeah.
Well, lo and behold, what's been in the last few days.
Yeah.
So
I thought that might come into play.
Once again, right. I don't know where I get these crystal ball predictions from, but they come from somewhere. And once again, right, I was a month ahead of the government. So they're openly talking about an inheritance tax now. They've been quite conservative and paying 10%. I believe that's just to warm us up. I believe that when they do announce it, will probably be more like 20%. And I don't think it'll stay there long, because most of the other advanced countries have a death tax at 30 or 40%. So I think they'll make it start at 20 and then ratchet it up as we go. So that's why I've been so busy, is helping people prepare for that, because I believe it will be announced. Well, I could say any day now, which it could, but realistically, I would be expecting it in the May budget. So 6 months
Not
to
something
complete.
they're going to drop on Christmas Eve or in that few days between Christmas and New Year and hope it just gets buried.
Don't think they'll have an excuse because it's going to be big. When they announce it, it's going to cause a ruckus.
Yeah.
So they'll either wait for another emergency, like a virus or a war or a financial collapse. Then definitely they'll announce it then if there's a financial collapse. But if none of that happens before May, then I would say they'll do it in the budget. So I've been helping people plan for that. And the main strategy is to move your assets away from yourself. The good old adage, everybody wants to own nothing but control everything. So that is putting all your assets into a trust. You don't own them anymore. You still control them, but you don't own them anymore. So if you don't own any assets when you pass, well, then the inheritance tax shouldn't apply to you because you don't have any assets. So that's what I've been frantically helping people do.
Through the will, you can make those assets accessible to others in the family.
Yeah, well, not even through the will because you've already moved them. They're in trust now. So in the trust, you just have rules about who takes over the trust when you die. So this is the strategy of the elite, the wealthy, the bloodlines. They've all got all their assets in trusts and they have had forever. And the idea is that their assets just pass down from one generation to the next generation, always staying in the trust, always protected for the family bloodline, out of the government's inheritance tax coffers because they're not personal assets, they're trust assets. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on because
So if we've got people who are interested in trying to look deeper into this, they can just email you and say I saw it on Vocie of Freedom.
Yeah, and I do, just so we're completely open, it does cost $15,000 to set up the trust and transfer a property. So it's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah.
But when my number one question to people is, do you want your assets to go to your bloodline when you die? Or do you want the tax man to have them?
Or somebody who was a stringer into the family, who was married into it or, whatever, and then been divorced from it, in some cases for years, and they still managed to get hooked into it.
Absolutely. So it's a very rare case. I do have them where some clients just go, look, I don't give a shit. I'll give my money to my beneficiaries, but I don't give a damn if the tax department takes half. Okay, fine. Don't worry about the strategy. But most people say, no, I've worked damn hard for everything I've got, and I don't want the tax man to have it. I prefer my kids or whoever to have it, and they're prepared to pay this price now. And the whole idea is once this is done, then it can just go on for generations to come. So it's sort of like a one-off painful fee, but then the assets now stay in the bloodline and in trusts forevermore.
Can you use the fee as something that would be protecting assets into the millions of dollars, you would think?
Yeah.
So it's a very small percentage of overall wealth, and like you say, it's probably not for the majority of people who are viewing the Vocie of Freedom show. We've got vastly less assets, but there are quite a few that do have a lot of assets.
Yeah. So couple of things about that. Every time I show people the fees, I do a fee calculation of the percentage of assets, and normally it's like less than 0.5% of their assets.
Yeah, wow.
We do have a financing option for anyone that does have a job. We have an external financier that will finance it with interest, of course. And then the final option for people who maybe are elderly and really can't get the loan because they're not working is to go to your bloodline and say to your adult children, look, property's worth $2 million, a 30% death tax is going to be $600,000. Do you guys want to chip in to pay for this so that we avoid that $600,000 tax?
And it stays in the family.
Stays in the family. The
family that builds a trust together stays in a trust together.
Yeah, and this has been tested in the next generation, whereby it's been a court case. The father had left substantial wealth to the son in a trust, and the son was married happily for so many years, and then not so happily for so many years, and then divorced. And the wife came after the assets. And normally the family court will look through a trust, But in this case, with these trusts that we use, the family intergenerational bloodline trust, the court would not give the wife anything. The court found that no, this is clearly family wealth from your family bloodline. The wife's not entitled.
Yeah. And thank you, end of court case. So
yeah. So once again, this is a fee that is to set up your family for generations to come.
All right. Well, if you want more information, freedomfinancialsolutions.com.au or freedomffs.com.au is the website to go and visit. Can we give your email address out, Cass? People can email you.
Yeah, for sure. So I am the one dealing with all of this, not anyone else in the firm. That's why I'm so flat out, because I'm the only one qualified to do this work, and well, not so much qualified, but experienced over 30 years, because when I'm looking at someone's strategy, I'm just looking at the bloodline trust, I'll also be looking at wills, enduring power of attorney, capital gains tax issues, any other companies and trusts, and whether they need protection, and a whole detailed strategy for the family. So that, that requires my input. So I am working as hard as I can for as long as I can. As I said, the May budget, I think, will change everything. So I'm prepared to work up until then. So if you want to get in, come along and have a chat with me. The easiest way, even email me, or even better still, on Freedom FFS, there is an appointment you book with me, estate planning and wills, and that way you can just book straight in my calendar and have a chat with me about it.
Beautiful. That's at freedomffs.com.au. Yep. All right. Brilliant. Thank you for spending a bit of time with us today. I really appreciate it. And good luck. I know you're going to be flat out with more people asking gold and silver and trust questions over the next few weeks. So let's hope you have a great Christmas and a very happy New Year to you and your family. I gather they'll all be coming up for Christmas, so it'll be great.
No, they actually desert me for Christmas. They all go back to Canberra and desert me.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's okay.
Oh, well. I'm sure we can find somewhere to have a Christmas drink. So
yeah,
we'll look out for that. All right. Well, have a good one. And thank you again for everything you've done for everybody through the Voice of Freedom this year. You've helped out so many people. I've had so many people come to me and thank me for introducing them to you guys and what's happened with them. So
and I'm
hopefully
so pleased I did it, Carl. You know, it started 3 years ago when I just randomly said to Michael Gray Griffith and to you and to anyone else who'd listen, hey, I need to talk to people, buy gold and silver. And I'm so glad that I'm a quiet accountant. I normally just sit at my desk doing accounting. So I'm not used to speaking out, but I'm really glad I did, because so many people have benefited so much.
Excellent. How are you at cruises?
No way.
I'm sure they've got yoga on board a cruise.
I get extremely, extremely seasick. It's not on my bucket list.
Good on you. Have yourself a bloody great Christmas.
All right, you too. See you later.
See you later. Cass Smith, Freedom Financial Solutions, freedomffs.com.au. No, you will not see her on the cruise, but you can come on the cruise with us. It's in May next year, 4 to 8. And if you would like to be a part of it, we'd love to have you. Contact Annette there on that phone number with that very important extension, because she's in Fort Lauderdale and works Australian hours, so it'll go straight through to her and you'll get her. She'll be able to set you up with a room, whether it's an inside one, one through with a portal, or one with a balcony, whatever you want. She can sort you out, and look forward to seeing you on that cruise. Take down the details. And there you go. I popped back there. So there you go. A few interesting questions that I didn't get to, but I think that I might be able to answer that came out of that chat with Cass, which I did record earlier today. She was, able to squeeze me in at very late notice this afternoon when I saw a couple of these figures come through about retirement age and what you're going to need to have to retire, which is a bit frightening by the whole thing. Thank you to everybody who has put up birthday wishes for my mum. Yes, she turned 90 today. She played 9 holes of golf yesterday. Normally she plays 18, but she was pretty impressed that she could play 9 yesterday, given that she hasn't played in about, I think it's nearly 4 months now, because she's had a sore shoulder. Unfortunately, the X39 patches didn't work for her, but she's handed them on to a fella who's got a bad hip, and I'm waiting to hear how that's going. So we'll see what happens. I didn't ask how he got the bad hip, but just saying. Connie, God love you. Folks, it's been quite remiss of me. I've had a couple of shows and I haven't mentioned Connie. And Connie, I was going to call you, or have been going to call you. It's difficult. I never know when to call you at this time. So Connie lost her mum late last week, and it wasn't unexpected. Connie's mum is now in a much happier place, and I'm sure Connie and the family are, dealing with all of this pretty well at the moment. But even still, when you lose someone very close to you, and regardless of what they may have suffered in the by way of dementia and all that sort of stuff, that's be that as it may, still difficult. And my thoughts are with you and your family. God love you, Connie. You do so much for me, and so does Alan. And once you're all through this, I'm going to ask him to do a little bit more for me, but that's a whole other story. 90 laps around the sun. Thank you, What They. Yes, Mum was. Well, I don't know that she actually follows the show terribly closely, but she'll get a little video appraisal of all of this, or I'll do a little short thing up so people can see it. And thank you, What They. Yes, I am a bastard. My advice has netted you over 25 grand in 14 months. Congratulations, mate. I am really, really, really pleased to hear that. And Toxic obviously has some... I don't do financial advice, not at all. But I'm glad that my opinion seems to have rubbed off. It was completely metallurgical in nature. Good on you. That's very good. I'm not going to do the Ron Jeremy joke again. Once was enough. And if you don't know who Ron... No, don't. Did anyone have to sign up with facial recognition today? I haven't. As near as I can tell, I haven't been kicked out of Facebook or Twittergram or Instaturd or X or anything else at the moment, outside of YouTube, which I'm still banned on 2 channels for. So the Voice of Freedom channel and the Vocie of Freedom channel are both banned, and that's why we probably have a few less in the chat than I would probably normally expect. Okay. Rachel was playing around. Okay. Google wanted verification before 12 a.m., but as today went on, it changed from verification needed to action required, and there's nothing there now. Brave has been installed. Yep. Bloody good. Go and get Brave. You won't have to worry if they turn Google off, and I'm sure they will do that at some stage. Black Sheep, I hope Cass explained capital gains tax to you, and I saw that there were quite a lot of people throwing around other suggestions, and certainly, mate, you and I can talk. I know people who know people might be able to help your people do the things that you need to be able to do. So don't think you've got to go cutting things in half and losing $200. Where does that go, I wonder? So no, gold weight is gold weight, mate. So we'll figure something out and be able to help you. Don't worry about that. And I did see somewhere further down in the chat, I guess when she was talking about bloodline trusts, that you don't have a family or anyone to leave whatever you've got left to. I would point out that the donkeys are very, very, very much in need of help. And the Donkey Sanctuary does take those sort of bequeathments, if you like. So always keep the donkeys in mind. God love them. I don't know if Sandy's in the chat tonight. I haven't seen her pop up, I don't think. But quite serious, folks. We need to raise as much money as possible to help them. Otherwise, the Donkey Sanctuary is going to need to be sold. And that is something that I'm really desperate to try and stop. The sanctuary itself will still go on, and the donkeys that are currently in care will be looked after. It's just that the available area will dramatically shrink from the 300 plus acres that they have currently to run around on, and all the sheds and associated other infrastructure that's been put there. That's what will need to be sold, and they'll be downsized onto a property that is less than 50 acres, I think, much less than 50 acres. So that means that there'll be many fewer donkeys on that particular bit of ground. But Sandy did tell me, and went to great pains to tell me, that she's found homes or, somewhere where she can keep these other donkeys and still probably need access to them. And the big problem would be, of course, feed, because that many donkeys on a smaller patch of ground means less places to move them around, less time for the grass to recover, and therefore they're going to need to be fed pretty much 12 months of the year. So once again, cost. Now, all we can do at the moment to help is ask you to buy a lotto ticket. It's only $2, and you can get them at merch.vofhq.com and click on the Sanctuary 750 link at the top of the page, and it will take you straight there. They're only $2 each. You can buy a maximum of 20, and with a bit of luck, you'll win $750, or some of the few remaining Byron Bobs, and the last of whom have not been sent will be sent tomorrow. Had a bit of an issue with, I think there were 2 last deliveries that didn't go when they should have, and this isn't part of that, but just to say, we do have them. And if you are looking for some, I could probably deal with it before Christmas, but I'll need to get a price for you, because the Byron Bobs have dramatically gone up in price, a bit like the price of silver, which just in the time that since Cass and I are chatting, it's now $91.86, and the gold-silver ratio is 68.71. It was down to 68.32, which meant that it was, like almost half an ounce down just in the time we were talking, and now it's popped up, 2 or 3 points of an ounce. So there is money coming into the system as Australia goes to bed, the rest of the world wakes up again, and more money is going to be ploughed into this overnight. Will it continue? Will we see new highs tomorrow? I don't know. The highs today over $92, and right now $91.86, with the trend still going straight up with a bullet, I dare say. So I think the not advice, the conversation that Cass and I were having, and the opinion that I think we both have, is that if you do have spare cash at all, no, you haven't missed the boat. That was the big question that I've been asked a lot by people. Oh, no, I can't get in now. I've missed it. And that's because when you were originally told about it, the price of silver was probably in the mid-40 or mid-50 or maybe late $50 range. And even then, you probably thought, oh, no, I've missed the boat. I know at times I have thought that when I could go and buy another coin, I would think, oh, gee, last one I bought was $46 and this one's going to be $52. And I think that's what I paid for the last coin that I was able to buy. And I don't know, I haven't looked to see what it's worth today, but which would be pretty simple to do if I just click that button there. It was a 1 ounce Ainslie coin. And it's $100.37. So I've doubled the money on that one. And that's how easy it can be. You've seen in the chat tonight some of the predictions where we've heard the price could go. I've heard as high as 10,000. I've heard a lot higher than that. I've heard 70, 80, 90,000. I've heard parity with gold. And if gold goes to 100,000, as Cass and others have said, there is every possibility silver won't be that far behind. And then we've got to be able to, if you want, to sell some of it. But there might be other liquidity in your life by that stage. There is still a lot of talk about what's going on in the QFS and the new financial system that will terminate the fiat system. Don't think anything I showed you in last night's show has come to fruition publicly yet. I haven't seen any of those predictions actually come true. The ones that come out every year, once or twice a year. We all get well, some people get very excited. I don't. Just wanted to draw your attention to somebody else is wheeling them out again. And here we are again, wondering where is all the evidence. Moving on. Mr. Bill must have asked a question about how you measure. Oh, here we are. Problem is, how do you verify your metals? Wapta has a solution. Each metal has a unique specific gravity. You test it by using scales, dental floss, and a beaker of water. Now, I've seen this done on shows like, Aussie Mine Hunter, Gold Hunter, whatever it is, where particularly Western Australian gold is found in ore, and it's not found in chunks like you might find, in and around Denali and places in central Victoria. The gold they find in Western Australia is usually specimen type gold that's in other rock. So how do you tell how much gold you've got in a rock? Well, that's what they do, these specific gravity tests. And you can find out exactly how much gold is in your rock so that when you crush it up and get the rock separated from the gold, you'll know what you're looking for. So, and by the looks of it, Wapta has offered to do a demonstration of that on the cruise. I, for one, would be right up for checking that out. Very interested indeed to see how that is done. And there is a name that I have not seen in our chat for a little while, and it's no surprise that he pokes his head up when it comes to offering advice on gold tax, particularly if you go prospecting, and your lovely other half. And I'm guessing that you've only just returned home or been home for a little while, but bloody awesome, brother, to see you back in the chat. And I hope you had an interesting stroll around parts west of where you live, and it was fortuitous for you. Cupid. Wouldn't it be a shame if Bullion Deal's computer got hacked and all recorded buyer details were lost? It probably would be. It would be a bit of a problem if it got hacked. If all the buyer details were lost, that's not such a bad thing. If they were stolen, that would be a terribly bad thing. But I do know that particularly one of the bullion companies that I know pretty intimately is... well, nothing's unhackable, but the levels of security involved are the highest that you can get. So you shouldn't be concerned about that in any way, shape, or form. Now, hang on. This user, I don't know if you're still in here or if you're just, I'm not sure if you're playing a game here or if you're serious. But I think the earlier part of this was that the metals are being taken out of the earth and therefore it's setting the earth off balance. And somebody wrote up, well, hang on, the metals are still on the earth. They're not in space, haven't been taken up into orbit. So therefore, they're still on the earth. This is metals are not in the seams where they should be. Okay. I understand that. Neither is a lot of the iron ore or the coal. In fact, there's a lot of trees that aren't where they used to was anymore. And a lot of the dirt where those trees were has been bulldozed and taken away and put somewhere else. Has this caused the earth to wobble? Is my question to you. Because all of that weight would be significantly more, I would suggest, than much of the weight that's been taken out of Australia and redistributed mainly to China in the last, well, call it 10 years, but probably for the better part of yours and my life. So, yes, super is a scam was another one I saw you post up. Well, I hesitate because I don't give financial advice. I have an opinion. And my experience with Big Super has been, up until this point, well, my relationship has been receiving a statement from them once a year. So I don't think that my involvement with them, although I'm about to get a little bit more involved with them, and we'll see how friendly they are there. But as for what they've done for me and my superannuation, they've done very little. They've taken, I think I saw the other day somewhere, it was a 5-figure sum, I can't remember what it was, in taxes, fees, charges, and other bits and pieces. And that's only been in the time that I've been with Australian Super. That's where it's been, and that is probably the last 10 years. So maybe a little bit longer. So they've taken a 5-figure sum out of my super to manage it. Now, I saw some sort of projected thing that I was going to make, because I've got it in the high risk sector of the stock market, thinking that, you know, that's where I might be able to get a return out of it the highest way. And I think it's projecting something like a $5,000 return. Had I been able to get the piddling little amount out and stick it with Ainslie Bullion into silver, I would be probably a bit happier like what that. And those of you who have been able to make $25,000. I would have liked to have bought a few more coins at $52 and found that there are 100 today. Wasn't really able to do it, sadly. But haven't missed out. Opportunity is still there for us all. So that's what we do. Push on. Oh, hang on. There's still a few more unticked questions. Crunch, not sure where you were when we were talking about the whole family bloodline trust thing. Maybe I pulled that out at the wrong time. What the asked Pete? Silver, perhaps we could mint a 1 ounce silver Carl coin. We can't call it a coin if we do anything like that. And I think Pete probably, I didn't see, but he's probably told you there might be something in the works. But that's another story. Asset rich, yeah, I know a lot of us are asset rich and cash poor. I wish there was more we could do to help everybody out. Cbus is absolute crap. Yeah, union owned, union run. You'd think they'd be getting the best out of the government with that one, but they are, I'm sure, the people who work for Cbus, the union heavies that, and isn't it, oh God, I've forgotten his name, but it's a former Melbourne federal Labor politician, Brendan, someone who is now in charge of Cbus. A lot of them go into big super or weapons contracts with other companies, all that kind of thing. Yeah, pretty piss poor all round. They all managed to go and get big money jobs, and yeah, on they go. We can't hype your videos, Carl. Why can't you hype my video? I don't know. I'll be honest, I didn't know you could hype my videos. If you could, in the absence of hyping my video, would you please like and subscribe? That would really help. I noticed, rather interestingly, I was looking at the analytics the other day, and I noticed that we have a lot of viewers that are not subscribed. So while we have better than 50% of our viewers are subscribed, there's like 40, I want to say it's 46%, or 44% it might be, that are not, but are regular viewers. So if you are one of those regular viewers, could you please give us a thumbs up at the very least? And if you're liking the content and you're coming back, then please subscribe. We can really use it to try and break the algorithm. Whether or not we're allowed on here tomorrow night, the next night, the night after, who knows? There has been no change in anything at Mel by the rather burnt look and the scruffy look and the wrinkles on my face that I'm already pretty much visually ID'd every time I sit in front of this computer, and I sit in front of it most days, all day. So who knows what's going to happen with this whole thing? Have you got kids that in your house have you had problems with them being able to log in, or have they been logged out of their accounts? I haven't heard any reports yet from lawsuits other than Reddit, who were putting one forward, I think, at 10 o'clock this morning. Whether or not they did or not, I haven't heard. But we're not likely to hear that through mainstream media, nor are we likely to hear about that through the young lady. I think she's 14 years old, and she is personally taking Albo and cabinet. So yes, taking him to court as well. Be interesting to see how it plays out. Of course, Meta, Google, and X, as well as a couple of the other big players, have already flagged they have systems in place to try and comply, but they don't want to. The US government is now going to fight the EU over the, well, I think it was 147 million euro fine that X was given because it refused to comply to EU freedom of speech conditions, or should I say restriction of speech conditions. So that's also going to be played out. It's signifying that the US government under Trump is going to start fighting back. And I think a lot of things have happened in the US court system now where the Democrats had rigged the judiciary for the longest time with their own people. And I'm pretty confident these days those people have been routed out, arrested, or incentivized to retire and go away and write a book or something, other than do anything other than be a judge anymore. And they've been replaced with, I'm not going to say Trump sycophants or, Trump appointees. That is their correct term. And they've probably been appointed because they have I'm not going to say a similar mindset to Donald Trump. They have a similar mindset to society. They are able to read the room. They can see what we, the people, are seeing. They are seeing what we feel. And they are very, very much of the realization that the buck stops with them. The bastardry, the evil has to stop with them. So you've got to try and get the judiciary in order. And that may mean that Trump himself, much to the glee of many, many, many people in the world, might also be arrested at some point. And don't be at all surprised if you're going to follow timelines like the one that I showed you last night. There is an alternate version of that, or not so much that one, but a timeline that says Donald Trump will be arrested on December the 27th, when crimes that he has committed will be exposed to the world. So we'll see. Interesting. Nuremberg is starting to sink in. Gitmo's huge now. Interesting user, I wish you could put a name in there. Nuremberg 2.0, the movie with Russell Crowe. I don't know if it's been released in cinemas yet, but I was able to watch it the other day through Telegram. I did watch it. I thought it was a very, very good movie. I'm going to watch it again because there is a lot in it. A lot of the story, I think, has been glossed over, but in parts, I think there is a lot in it for we the people. Well worth looking over. And I also think that the reason that this movie Nuremberg was made to give the people, an understanding of how the Nuremberg trials work. Now, what were the Nuremberg trials? Well, they were the greatest trials, war trials for war crimes in the history of humanity. And this movie explains how 4 countries came together to prosecute those Nazis that they'd caught at the end of the war that they didn't deem worthy of putting on a plane or a submarine and shipping out to Argentina or back to America or to Russia or wherever else. And that is a very interesting story. A very interesting story. And I thought, I'm not really one for watching movies. That's got to be the first movie, new movie I've watched in years and years, to be honest. And I wanted to see what they do. But I think what they're doing is making us aware of the process. There are people like me who've heard about the Nuremberg trials, but didn't really understand the process of how they were put together. How did numerous countries get to have a say in who was prosecuted, how they were prosecuted, all that kind of thing. Why do I think this is important? Well, I think it's important because, as user XYZ said there before, Gitmo's full up, Guam is full up. I've got a sneaking suspicion Christmas Island is full up. And there are other areas in very cold parts of the world, both north and south of the equator. So I believe that many of these trials have already been conducted. I believe that what we will see eventually are those trials played out in real time, but they will have been conducted some years ago. Hillary, don't think, has been walking this earth now for at least 4 years. So we will see those played out in real time, though, just like we saw the executions of the Germans they held at Spandau prison, or beg your pardon, at the Nuremberg trials at the Nuremberg prison there. That warming the normies to the process, don't you think? I might just that I might see a little bit of I think Rona Fullmarker's at the Nuremberg 2 trials. I think you might be right. I was hoping that I might encourage you to go to Telegram and find that, if you don't want to go to the movies and support the satanic forces behind all those movie companies, then great. But yes, there is a version available, and you can download it. That's all I'm saying. I didn't, but you can. So yeah. So Donna, we could argue about, or not argue, but we could discuss that point very much. However, I don't know that that's the point I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to make is that the people are now being made aware of the Nuremberg trials, why the Nuremberg trials were held. There is very graphic, real footage of, naked Jewish bodies. They'll have you believe they're all Jewish, being pushed into graves. In fact, I'm being disingenuous. The movie does actually state in a breakdown that there were X amount of Jews, X amount of Gypsies, Romanians, the whole gamut of people that were slaughtered by the SS. And that's ostensibly what the conversation and the vision that you will see is about. And you do see the vision that they purport came from the real Nazi death camps. It's confronting vision, be prepared for that. But that's because the world had never seen anything like that before. They were horrified. And how do you deal with something like that? Well, you can't just kill them all. they have to have a trial. Well, how does the world put, a few people from Germany on trial? Well, we find ourselves in the same position, don't we? How do we, the people of the world, put on trial the bastards that have done what they've done to us? Well, interestingly enough, this Nuremberg movie shows a path, I believe. It shows a path. I'm not saying it is the path. I'm saying it's a path. And it's a path that could be very worth exploring. There may need to be changes. I'm sure there would need to be changes, but it's a path worth exploring. So when you have the opportunity, if you so can drag yourself to the box and sit down, I think it's 2 hours or thereabout movie. I found it quite interesting, and the fact that it follows through with the executions of those that have been found guilty also leads people to the fact that there are significant consequences for committing crimes against humanity. Just the same as there are significant consequences for committing treason. Doesn't really matter what country you're in, the punishment for treason is the same, pretty much everywhere. So it's bringing the normies around, maybe. At least that is my hope. I have a lot of hopes. I hope that you go off and buy a $2 ticket in our lottery to go and help the Donkey Sanctuary. I hope that we'll be able to help the Donkey Sanctuary keep all the donkeys and stay where it is, in a beautiful little secluded place that's very protected from people who might want to do harm to those donkeys. I hope that, I don't believe in lotteries and that kind of thing for me to go and win millions of dollars or anything like that. But if somebody is going to send a scratchy or something for Christmas or a birthday, then please let it be for a lot of money, so that we can start creating a better future for our family here. Because here we know we have a loving, supporting, informed, intelligent group of people who are so willing to help each other at every turn. Even if we have to, on the odd occasion, admit a dickhead driver. I know it's going to be hard, but part of what we all have to learn in this process is forgiveness. So I had an experience with a dickhead driver today. I forgive that dickhead driver because they've probably been driving longer than I've been alive. Not sure that they've had a license that long, but I'm sure they've been driving that long. And sometimes you need to be a little bit respectful of people who may get anxious when traveling in traffic of like anything more than one car. I'm just saying. They're not necessarily dickheads, they're just old. Like my mum, who's not a dickhead driver, a demon golf player, but she's not a dickhead driver.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!